I very distinctly remember one day like coming in and kind of like feeling the same thing that Garrett did. And my dad had his laptop open and he was like, "Hey, come here, come see the church that we're going to go to." And I was like, "I don't want to go to another church." And like he had up the either Genesis logo or Facebook page, I don't remember what it was, and it had like the red and orange and green logo that we
the
used to
OG
have,
logo.
the old one. And I was like, "Okay, well, all right, we'll go." And then he's like, "Look who the pastors are," and it said Brian and Serena Ramey. And then I got extremely excited. I was like, "Are we really doing this?" And you're like, "Yeah, we're really doing this."
But you're taking credit for this.
Yes, apparently it was all my idea, so I'm taking credit for it.
They thought they were planning a church.
We were
We
planning.
were planning a church. You're welcome, Genesis Church, 10 years later.
God kind of orchestrated a lot of those things. So a lot of doors opened and things just kind of fell into place. And a lot of doors didn't open, you know. And so like that, you know, the youth pastor job that they had applied for, I mean, that door was closed. I mean, so a lot of things. So God orchestrated all those steps. And I think that what's unique about Genesis is from the start, you know, we had the right people, you know, in the right place. And I think that's why, you know, God was just orchestrated all of this from the start.
I think one of the coolest things as far as seeing what I thought God did something was after we'd kind of got started and secured the building and we were trying to accumulate stuff that you need. And, you know, of course, you don't have any money and everything's new, but we were needing a sign. And we called about a sign in the paper. So we were going to go look at it. And we'd call the guy and everything. And, well, we got the trailer hooked up. We met at the church. And we called Metro Sign. And just happened to get the owner, which is another funny thing because he's not the one that usually answers the phone. He answered it, and I was talking to him about, you know, what it might cost and kind of explained our situation. And we were trying to maybe re-letter a sign. And so we're in the pickup with the trailer attached, fixing to go look at a sign for $1,000. And this guy tells us that he may have a sign that would work that they had taken off a building. But he said, "I'll give it to the church." And it was almost perfect for where we needed to hang it.
It's still up there.
And it's still up there. And he re-lettered it. And we still only we had the sign and it re-lettered for what, maybe just a hair less than what we were thinking we were going to buy a used sign for. So it was just little things like that.
But several of those blessings happened in a row.
That's what
which
I mean.
confirmed
Yes.
many.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
confirmed
God's hand
everything.
was all
Yes.
over it. All over it.
I just remember this pink mauve chairs, and I was just like,
With the gold trim?
with the gold metal.
Oh my gosh!
They were
Yes.
heavy. They smelled bad. They did.
So bad.
The
We
stains
shampooed
on
those for
those
hours.
things. Nasty.
Tell them what you did the very first week on stage.
You guys remember that? Opening Sunday, first time we had, the room was almost full, and I was supposed to lead worship, and I got up there, and I got up ready to go. We've been in Victory Church for the last 7 years. I've been involved in the worship team for a long time, and stepped up there, and with all the gusto I had, said, "Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Victory Church."
And we were here doing worship, and we realized real quickly we were running out of space, and we didn't know what we were going to do. And it just so happened Mike Payne was the owner of the pharmacy, and he sold it. And so he was going to sell the building. Well, I went and just visited with him a little bit and said, "Here's our deal. You know, we need space, but we're new." I was like, "We have no credit. We have no money. Well, hey, welcome to the church world, right?" And so but we need space. And, you know, would you consider, I know you've got it for sale, but would you consider leasing it to us? And man, he kind of like hung his head, and he was kind of, man, he's like, I'm really trying to get out. Like, I really don't want to be a landlord. I would lease this to you temporary. He's like, but what I'd really like to do is sell it to you. And once again, it was like, hey, we don't have any money. We're not going to be able to get a loan.
Our only assets were those mauve chairs.
That's it.
Those are the only assets we had.
Yeah, that's all we
That we
have.
paid
Everything else was
$3
just
for.
kind of been borrowed, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but you know what? Once again, God comes through. He was asking $125,000 for the space, and he said, "I'll sell it to the church for $100,000. He said, "I'll knock $25,000 off." And he said, "I'll carry the note."
It's
I
the
mean, you know,
kindness of
every time we
God.
turned
It is
around,
the
it was just
kindness
God.
of God.
I also remember whenever we first opened next door, before they laid the carpet, we all went next door with a marker and wrote verses all on
I
the
forgot
carpet,
about that.
underneath
Yeah.
the carpet.
underneath
Literally,
Before
like,
they
wrote
all
on the
wrote-
foundation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
I
Yeah.
love the fact that we wrote scripture on the floor.
I was
think about
thinking that, yes.
I think about
I
that.
remember
You
Joel
guys did that
writing it
underneath the
down,
carpet.
and
Yes.
they had all
I
the
didn't remember
kids
that.
over there, and so like if you pull that up, and there's gonna be, I mean, we are literally standing on God's
I
word.
think about that a lot.
You
I love
know.
that we did that.
I do too.
And even it goes beyond Brian and Serena. They've always been intentional about equipping and like, hey, we want you to do this, and kind of like we're telling you to do this. But there was not always just because we need you to do it, but we believe that you're able to do this and you can do it well.
Yeah, I think that was a really big thing is like they in some ways they kind of like expected us to be able to do things, but it's because they truly believed we were able to do it. Like whether it was leading worship or helping in kids ministry or running a computer, or like you said, your videos and all the editing that you were doing, like we all did a lot of things that we had never done before.
Yep.
Because they believed in us, and because they believed in us, we were able to do it. Like,
Well, and how that stepping up is being a leader, as needed, when you need to be, like how that translates from, a junior high school kid to college student to now, most of us in careers now, stuff like that. So, I mean, even be able to step up on the job makes you, stand out a little bit better, but who would have thought, from having to step up and play piano or play bass or sing or whatever, would turn into, helping you be a better, leader in your own workplace and careers.
yeah.
I wanted to say, I think that ties in really well with Brian and Serena's heart. They have a servant's heart for Christ, not just Genesis Church. It's the Lord, and that's why he will pray for other churches every Sunday, and people have talked about that, and that really speaks volumes about their heart, and you can see it with all of the children that have come through here, all the youth that come through here. So many of them have a servant's heart because they have served under Brian and Serena, and they've been the example.
Most likely how kids are going to learn, how we as adults actually learn too, is it's caught, not necessarily just strictly taught. And I think being able to grow up with that leadership, like now I understand caught, not taught. I have seen it been taught, but I've also caught on to the attitude of what it means to love others, what it means to serve the local church, and what it means to like serve our community because of the leadership that we've had.
And just to top kind of what you said, it's like, if you're brand new and don't know anything, it's user friendly. If you're experienced churchgoer, you've been in and you're still learning, it's user friendly to that. You still have tons of room to grow. And you have you can start here, you can, end here. I mean, there's something there for everyone and everyone in between. So.
I think what I really liked about this place is I think anybody can walk into the door at Genesis, no matter what their background is, what their socioeconomic condition is, what they're wearing, what their previous thoughts on church are, what their value system is right now. I think there is an environment here that you can walk in and you're okay. I love the idea that somebody can come in a pair of shorts and a ball cap and nobody's going to ask them to leave or ask them to, because we don't care. Just come meet Jesus.
Amen.
If you can.
Yeah, that's good. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, we're just a bunch of imperfect people but Jesus has changed our life by his love. And now we want you to experience that because we've experienced that. And so that's what I would want for the greater community more is we are imperfect people just as you're an imperfect person. And we just want you to be changed by Jesus.
That's something that I tell Serena all the time, like with worship, a lot of us have been involved on the worship team at some point. Like when I'm on the stage or when I'm in the booth or whatever, like all I'm hoping is that some of the people in the room get to experience what I've experienced through worship and my relationship with Christ in some way. Like that's all that I want is that they experience that a little bit because of how amazing it is. And I think for the future of Genesis, like it would be just to keep allowing people to have a place where they can feel that.
Talk about a church for everyone. I think the very first time I had anything to do with the church, we went on a covert mission to steal tires from another church.
What?
Yeah. I swear, I didn't
I
even
remember
know
this.
the people's names I
remember
was
that.
with.
The
And
truth
they
that
were
is
like,
coming out
"Hey,
right now."
Nice to meet you, man. You're going on a secret mission, and I was sold.
But there was a month or two ago, like I told Serena that in a lot of ways, Genesis feels like it's partly like my baby or my child because I did have so much of a part in literally from the ground up, and that's something that is super special to me. And because it's like I almost in a way helped create the thing that made me who I am today, and that allowed for all the growth that I've had in my life.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool relationship.
Yeah, although Colton and I are still currently attending here every week, this is still like, this is, every time we come back, like it still feels like home. But this place, I'm getting emotional.
The tissues are right over there.
No, this place like equipped me though, like to literally take this step of faith that we needed in the time of our lives, that we took that step and to be where we are now. And it's literally built the confidence and built all those tools that were necessary.
I agree. I think you know, it's that whole goldfish mentality that
Yeah.
you can only grow to the limits of what your bowl
Right.
is, and I think we hit that quite a while ago as a church in this space. And my expectation is that we move to the next spot. You know, in terms of the physical side of what Genesis is, but I think too, it's gonna be a curious thing for me to watch this group, because you know, we started as parents with kids, and birthed Genesis out of that desire, but now our next steps are gonna be learning how to grow in leadership and mentorship.
But I think that's what Genesis also is. It's like we are still just a church in progress. We've never just said this is okay. We've never just been settled. We've always had people in the church that are like asking questions like, how can we do this better? What can we do better? How can we be more welcoming? And so it's an engagement of people here that keeps us progressing towards the church that we want to be.
We've learned a lot in 10 years. We've done a lot of things right. God opened a lot of doors, and we probably didn't do some things right. It's like, yeah, if we do it differently the next time. So I think that all that has laid the foundation for the next 10 years. But I love the fact that we've built up others in the church, whether they're teachers, whether they're on the production teams, or whether they're part of the welcome team or whatever. I mean, there's just a lot more people taking a lot more responsibility. Most of the people that attend Genesis on a regular basis are involved in something. They're doing something. And I think that
And that's the church.
I think that's the culture
That's-
that
yes.
Genesis has created.